Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with Snom. Today's host is Corey Cather. He is their Regional Account Manager, and Ian Mitchell, who is their Product Manager, and both of them will be presenting today. Please note that at the end, Corey and Simon will answer any of the questions that you put in our question box. And I'm looking forward to what you got for us today, Corey and Ian. I am finished for now. Please go ahead and take it on over.
Hi, Julie. Thank you for having us. I appreciate the audience today. And thank you all for joining us. We will go over our products here. I know we've joined you before and touched on some of these things, but what we want to do today is kind of give us some of the DECT advantages that we have and really go into a little more detail of what the new product, some of the new product that's exciting, such as our new DECT M500 is going to look like. And Ian Mitchell is our product manager, and he will go into greater detail of what that is. So just to touch on briefly again, some of our advantages that we have at Snom is we do have a 3-year warranty on all of our products. That includes all of the desk phones, the DECT phones, the conference phones, and the desk phones. The accessories, I believe, on like headsets and things like that are a year, but all of the phones themselves do have a 3-year warranty. We do have a warehouse in San Antonio, Texas. That is where we keep our inventory, so it ships to the distributors from there. We do have product on hand, which can be a huge thing. So we've got it ready to go to the distributors for orders. And then we've got a support team here in North America that includes engineering, product, sales, marketing, tech support. We have tech support that's email and phone access as well. So we do have the support for you here as well. So one of the big things we have is that's really strong for Snom is DECT. And again, I'll touch on the fact that even these DECT handsets have a 3-year warranty on them. The DECT product we have right now, we have the M100 that's been out for a while. It's a great solution for just simply DECT endpoints. So it can be used in basically standard mode where it's just its own phone number, but it also has Keyline Emulation. And what that means is it works like a keyed system. So on the phone itself, you have 4 key lines. And when you dial in with one number, line 1 will light up and blink. And any of the up to 8 handsets or desk sets that are attached to that base, you can answer from. And then you can simply put it on hold. You don't have to park, retrieve. You can simply put it on hold and then pick it up again from a different handset, from a different phone. So you have a true keyline function or emulation from a SIP DECT handset and desk set. So what this does is it gives you more flexibility, not only in a small office, but really a big advantage when you're working with retailers and restaurants to be able to easily access calls, put them on hold, have somebody pick them up, shout across the room, hey, Jimmy, pick up line 2. So it makes it nice and easy with training. There's not a whole lot of work in getting people to figure out how to use these phones. We have implemented this in many locations, including some that are still in process right now, but we have implemented this in a 400 restaurant chain where, again, the big advantage is just simply being able to save cost, but also just simply be able to train the employees easy. If you do have somewhere that has heavy rotation of employees, then it's, again, a little easier for them to be able to use the phone. So customer satisfaction and employee satisfaction is a big thing with the KLE series. So with that, what I'm going to have, that series has been out for a while. We do have a next generation of that actually is on its way, and I'll let Ian address when, but it will be here soon. But the M500 is the SMB wireless office solution. So Ian, would you like to take this part over?
Sure thing, Corey. So hi, I'm Ian Mitchell, and again, I'm one of the product managers here at Snom. So yeah, talking about the M500, if we want to go into the next slide, Corey. So what we did is we took what we learned from the M100 with the KLE solution, and we basically just took it into the next level. So what we see here is we still have the Keyline emulation, but we have given it a facelift where we have the color handsets and also a color desk set that supports the same DEC technology. So you basically have wireless handsets and desk sets that can be placed anywhere in the office. And we've also moved the key labels, especially for the desk set, right to the display itself. So this way you actually get even greater visibility to the key lines or the private lines, or even phone monitoring itself. So that way you can actually see if other handsets are busy, whether they're on a Keyline call or even on a private extension call on their own private extension for, you know, outbound calls and whatnot. And the other thing we did is we allowed greater expandability. So this is actually a multi-cell solution. Now, when we do launch this, which should be in about another month or so, we'll support up to 2 base stations. So we go from 8 phones and 8 concurrent calls on a single base. And if you simply drop in a second base station, one, you're going to increase the range itself. So now you can cover an even larger area, but you also increase the capacity. So you're going to go up to 16 phone and 16 concurrent calls, all operating within the same area. And then with the next software update that we'll have, which should come hopefully sometime Q1 next year, we'll actually be able to expand that up to 6 base stations and a total of 48 phones. So this way you'll be able to cover like even a medium-sized office, or if you have a much larger place, like, you know, think of like a Home Depot's or a Lowe's or something like that, we should be able to completely cover that type of a store. So you can have these mobile handsets that retain that Keyline operation. And just to go into a little bit more detail of what that looks like, and if you want to go to the next slide, Corey, I can kind of show. So we noticed here on the handset, we're going from the 4 key lines, and on the handset itself, we'll have 6 buttons that'll be fully programmable. And what that means is, you know, most businesses, right, you're going to have like a main number that you're going to call into, you know, 503-596-1200. That's like the main office number. And of course, you, for a lot of these small businesses, whether it's like an auto body shop, a florist, you know, a pharmacy or a dentist office or something like that, they might want to be able to manage those calls a lot easier. So we give you the direct visibility, whether it's on a cordless handset or a cordless desk set. So the first call that comes in is going to come in on, you know, button 1, second call comes in on button 2, button 3, button 4, and then again, just like with the M100, you get that easy 1 button to put it on hold, and then all the phones can see that visibility. They can see, oh, I've got a call on line 2. They can simply put the call on hold, and they can either page directly from our phone system, where you can actually page all the devices and then let people know, hey, you know, parts, you got a call on line 2. Or if you have an overhead paging system, you could even program one of the speed dials. You know, maybe you have one of our PA1s with an amp in there, and then you can page out into the warehouse. Hey, warehouse, you got a call on line 3. Somebody doesn't have to remember a park slot or anything like that. It's like, oh, let me just go to my phone and then see what button's flashing. Oh yeah, they said line 3, so let me go pick it up. The other thing we did is, you'll notice with this handset and with the desk set, we actually added Bluetooth. So this is going to be especially important because, you know, think of like an auto body shop. If somebody has one of these cordless handsets and then underneath the car, they are probably going to want to be hands-free, but they don't want a wired headset that can get caught on something. So now they can get a nice Bluetooth headset, pop it in the ear, and be able to have a total hands-free conversation talking with somebody with the solution. And then if we go over to the desk set here, we can see that what we did is, when we put those key lines next to the screen, we actually get the display labels themselves. So this way, it's working just like a regular SIP wired desk set, right? You're going to see actual line information, so you can see, okay, these are my key lines, but you might also have a private extension, so you have your own private voicemail as one of these buttons. In addition to that, we also have that busy phone monitoring. So within the system itself, you can monitor like, oh, is handset 2 busy, or is handset 4 busy? So they're talking to somebody, I know that, hey, John's busy, I can't you know, transfer a call to him or whatnot, but then that also is going to act like a direct intercom call as well, so you can use that in order to call somebody. So we're really trying to bring this into the next generation and have a better look and feel. But I do want to stress the point that these lines, it's not just for Keyline, but they are fully programmable. So you can program these buttons any which way you want. If you want your key lines on the left, or maybe you don't even need key lines. Like, that's, you know, this is more of a strict office environment and they don't need those shared calls. Like, just have them be private extensions for everybody. They get their own voicemail, they get their own outbound dialing lines, and then those other buttons can be used for the busy monitoring, for paging, for directory, or anything like that. And all of these also are built with antibacterial plastic to help us in this environment. And yeah, we should have these, I would say probably mid-December. They should be available for pickup and use. We do have some good videos up on our workshop channel right now, and along with our wiki that's at service.snom.com. And if we go into the next slide here, we'll talk about another solution that we have. So we also have an even larger, more robust multi-cell solution. So if we go to the next slide, what this starts out with is our M900 base station. And this is highly scalable. So instead of scaling to just 6 base stations, this actually scales all the way up to 1,000 base stations and then up to 4,000 handsets. And this is a solution that would be good for like coverage at like an entire airport, a hospital, university, or just a large school where you need to cover a very large footprint and have seamless roaming throughout the whole location. Same thing with like a hotel, the back of the house at the hotel, they're going to want all the maintenance workers and stuff to have something like this, so they can always be reachable, whether they're in a guest room or somewhere in the back of the office, as they call it. So we can see here are some of the handsets that we have available for it. So these are all going to have color displays. These ones in particular are all a 2-inch color display with 3 soft keys, and all of them are ruggedized to some extent. So we can see the M70, we have ruggedized to 2-meter drop. And then once we get to the M80, we have full IP65 certification. So it is going to be, resistant to, dropping in water, or so if it's, it needs to be outside in the rain and stuff like that, there's no issue. And then when we get to the M900, we also have, we retain the IP65 rugged nature, but we also add the antibacterial plastic on top of it. So it's good for like a hospital type environment. And then all these are also going to have alarm buttons on the top. So if somebody needs, you can basically program that alarm button to call any number you want, and it can also trigger other actions, whether it's a text message or something like that. And then, if we go to the next one. So what multi-cell does, just so we can kind of see if people aren't familiar with it, is it allows the decked base stations to basically communicate with each other. And we support both what's called AirSync, where the bases are communicating over the deck frequency to communicate with each other in order to eliminate dead spots, because any type of wireless signaling, there's potential for interference depending on the building materials. So in the multi-cell infrastructure, you can kind of get around it as long as you can kind of put 2 bases in line of sight of each other. You can kind of get around an obstacle and then continue that chain to the rest of the building. But we also support land sync feature as well. And this is why we can support things like an airport or like a college university that might have multiple buildings, because we can actually span across the wired network as well. So it allows the greater range and greater capacity with this particular solution, and allows us to overcome dead spots. And it's a multi-cell is better than a decked repeater, because repeater, kind of like a Wi-Fi repeater, you're kind of eating up the existing bandwidth that's coming over the Wi-Fi, whereas with a multi-cell environment, you retain the capacity for each one of those bases. You're not having it for every repeater that you put in. And one of the nice things is with our M900, all the handsets do have a automatic survey mode. So you can just punch in a simple code and you will get a survey mode like this. So you can basically see what base is in range, and you can actually get the signaling for it. So you can tell like how good the signal is going to be. And this is important because especially with the M900, if you're doing a large scale deployment, you do need to be conscious of like where you're placing those bases to make sure that you're not going to have the dead zones. So we do have instruction on how to perform a site survey. But if you do have a good opportunity like that, it is definitely beneficial to get one of these surveys, and that's why we put the survey mode directly into the handset. So essentially all you really need to do is basically take one of the base stations, you can kind of put it on a tripod. If you know, like, okay, we're always going to be mounting these on the ceiling, or we're always going to be mounting these on the wall, you want to kind of get it at the heights that you would normally place it at. And then you can just kind of put it in one location, find out, okay, what range do I get in this particular environment on the handsets? And then once you kind of find the maximum range, you want to pull it back a little bit, move the base to that location, and then find the maximum range for that next placement of the base. And that way you can guarantee that you're not going to have any dead zones once you do a full deployment of the solution in a given area. And so why would somebody want to choose DECT? Well, one, for those that aren't familiar, DECT is a specific frequency band that was provided, or basically developed so it doesn't interfere with other signals. You don't have to worry about it interfering with Wi-Fi or microwave signals and stuff like that, because it's got its own range. And then it also, because it's specific for a telecommunications type of communication, you actually get better power requirements out of it. So you can get better battery life out of like a DECT phone versus like, let's say, a Wi-Fi phone. You also get the security built into it because it is a timed signal hopping frequency. So it's not like the old 900 megahertz where you can kind of like, okay, you tune into the frequency and select the right channel and you can like listen in. Like this is constantly hopping between multiple channels and then multiple frequencies throughout the life of the call. So it inherently has security built into it. And there's even another layer of security that can be turned onto DECT as well, but it will give you the stability of the communication, and of course the better battery life to get you longer talk times and everything. And I think we're on the desk sets now, Corey.
Thank you, Ian. Yeah, so we'll touch on the desk sets. We've had the D700 series out for quite a while. There are some new additions to it, which we'll touch on here as well. Literally just came out in the last couple months. The D717 is our base level model. So this one does have the USB port. It has up to 6 SIP accounts, 3 programmable keys on the face of it. All of the D700 series do have the solid state hook switch, so that improves your durability and reliability. But the D717 also with the USB port will support up to 3 of the sidecars. So it's a little bit unique in being an entry-level piece that will support the expansion module or sidecars as well. A new model that we added to this is the D713. What we've done with this model is we've added a 4th programmable key. So we go from 3 to 4, but we do lose the USB port, so we do lose the expansion capability. So what this does allow you to do is add more at a lower price point with 4 programmable keys. For a larger deployment, this is actually a nice advantage. So these are now available. We have them in our San Antonio warehouse. They're available to purchase. The D735 is, again, you have the same size or similar size screen, I should say. It's a little bit different screen, but you go to substantially more programmable keys. So you have 8 programmable keys right on the face of this phone, 4 on each side of the screen, but you have 4 pages worth. So you have 32 programmable keys on here. This is also unique in our line in that it does have a motion sensor. So there is a sensor in there that when you get in the proximity of the phone, that the display will change in its brightness. So it will show you, in other words, it'll show you the screen more clearly as you get closer to it. The 785 is kind of our flagship piece. So with this guy, you do have built-in Bluetooth, you have a larger screen, and you have a secondary screen for your programmable keys. So your main screen is your display screen and your call action screen. And then your programmable keys are removed to create, even a larger appearance on the screen itself. So the programmable keys are a secondary screen where you've got 6 on the first page, and you have 4 pages there. So you do have 24 programmable keys on there as well. The Bluetooth is the big addition here. Without going too much into it, we've added a new model that's basically this, less the Bluetooth. So there is a new model, which again is available in our warehouse. This will save you a few dollars. Again, if you're doing a larger deployment and you're not using the Bluetooth, or you're using the headset, Bluetooth dongle that would come with the headset, then you wouldn't need the Bluetooth built in as well. But this one is again available in our warehouse. The only difference is that it does not have Bluetooth built in. Other than that, is exactly the same as the D785. The D7C expansion module is also currently available as well. The new module has a beautiful color screen, has 3 pages of 16 programmable keys that you can put on there as well. So you have up to 48 PFKs. So you can daisy chain up to 3 of them. One of them you can power with a single phone whether it's PoE or a power supply, and then to go to an additional 2 or 3 total, on the second or third, you'd need to add an additional power supply to power that expansion module. So with the models that have the USB port, which is, again, is all of them except for the 713, you can add an A210 Wi-Fi dongle and a power supply if you wanted to add a kind of a work from home or a tough environment where you can't get a drop. So the A210 is a Wi-Fi dongle that you can add to any of the phones that have the USB port. The other thing you can do with the USB dongle is to add our DEC dongle and pair it with our expansion speakerphone, which will allow you to have like an executive office phone, conference phone. So you can pair it to the dongle, put that expansion speakerphone on a back credenza, and then you have kind of a executive conference phone, if you will. But it gives you some flexibility, to go more hands-free, and also just, if you roam around in your office, it gives you that flexibility. It's actually a nice addition. It works quite well. And then in the conference phones themselves, we do have the C620 as our fully wireless conference phone. So that one does have the rechargeable battery, so you can get 12 hours of talk time. You get up to 24 in narrowband, I believe. So have fun at that conference if you're going to be there. The mics themselves also have DECT wireless capability. So the mics charge in the main base itself, but then you can put those out across the table and spread out to create a bigger surface so the people on the other side can hear you more clearly. Again, all that would be wireless. The base would go somewhere else. So you don't have to run wires through your conference phone table or anything like that. So it's truly wireless. The C520 is the wired version that's based off of. So it does require wiring to the base itself. And of course, there's the C52 expansion speakerphone. So that's the one that will pair with the desk phones, but you can also expand the C520 or the C620 from, with those C52s as well. So the C520, you can pair up to 3 of them. The C620, which is the DECT version, you can pair up to 2 of those, which again gives you just a larger footprint. If you have more people in the room or a very large room, that gives you more flexibility on how to grow your conference phone. And Ian, I'm going to let you take up the broadcasting paging here and the accessories.
Yeah, no problem. So if we want to go to the next one, so what we have here is this PA1. This has actually been a tried and true staple for many, many years within this Snom family. But for those that aren't familiar, what this is it's basically it's kind of like it's a SIP ATA basically for a bullhorn, right, or a PA system. And it does serve a couple of different purposes. So it does have the built-in 4-watt amp, so you can actually plug a horn right into it if it's not too powerful. But if you do have like a large amp system PA that's trying to run like 18 speakers or something like that, you can also use it to interface with that particular amp in order to drive an even larger footprint. The other unique thing that this has is we allow 4 SIP extensions to basically be put onto it, and those can be used for that actual speaker announcement, or they can actually be used for a multicast relay. So what this does is it gives you, if you have a multicast paging system available, like maybe you have a whole bank of SIP phones that are listening to multicast addresses in order to do paging and stuff like that, but you want a simple extension to call instead of having to like look for a program button, or maybe you have an analog phone. If you just program the SIP extension to relay to that particular multicast address, you just call the extension from any device, and then it'll of course relay to the multicast address, and then any of those multicast devices that are listening will of course turn on and start blasting out. So it's really good if you do have a PA system and you need an interface to actually integrate between the SIP side and the actual analog speaker side. And coming out shortly, we'll basically have a new version of it. So we will be replacing the PA1 with the PA1 Plus. Same exact ID and everything. We're just migrating to one of our better chipsets to give ourselves even more longevity on the product. And then we're also going to add a more compatible 600 ohm output, so it can better interface with even more amps out there. And then we'll also include a little bit of a new wiring tool for it. So again, it's easier to interface with the amps out there. So we should have that available early next year. And then if we kind of continue down, so we're also kind of expanding into some additional business consumer products. So we do have our A100 series of headsets. These have the RJ9 interface, and then we also do have a USB interface as well. So whether you want to hook it into one of our desk phones natively, or if you do want to hook it up to your PC, you can do that. And this is kind of like your, base series of wired headset. And then coming out shortly, we will start to expand the series. So we'll start that with the A330. This gives you a little bit better speaker quality and better boom mic that's a little bit more flexible. And then we also have, this is primarily for USB headsets, but that call control box does actually disconnect and give you the straight 3.5 millimeters. So if you do need to plug it into, one of our decked handsets or, some other device, you do have that flexibility to plug in, or you can use it with the call control box, and then you can plug it into either your PC through USB or into one of our desk phones to just give you a little bit better quality headset. And then I think we're going back to you, Corey, for.
Yeah, so that pretty much covers the line. What I do want to do is, just give you access, if you want some more product information, register to become a Snom partner. There's a place you can become a partner right on our website. Again, we do have live support for tech support, which is an actual phone number. You can reach a human being or leave a voicemail and they will call you back fairly quickly. And then there's an email as well. So what we didn't go into, and maybe next time we can cover that a little bit more, but we do have a redirect provisioning server, SRAPs. And I don't know, Ian, do you want to take a quick minute and just tell them what SRAPs does?
Yeah, so SRAPs, it is for basically Snom redirection and provisioning services. So if you just need a simple redirection to basically register your MAC addresses and point them to your provisioning server, you can totally do that. But if you want to actually do full on provisioning of your devices, we do support, I would say for the desk phones, we probably support like a good 80% of all parameters available. For some other devices, it might be a little bit lower, but you do have pretty much provisioning capabilities. So if you want to put in your SIP accounts on particular devices, if you want to program the speed dial keys on them, you can actually do that through SRAPs itself if you don't have your own provisioning server that would normally handle that process.
Thanks, Ian. And then if you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to me directly, or just feel free to reach out to Julie and her team, and she can reach out to me as well. So Julie, I think that wraps up our presentation today. So if there are any questions, we'd be happy to answer those as well.
Thank you so much, Corey and Ian, for that wonderful presentation. We enjoyed it very much. And yes, I've got several questions here for you guys. So let's get started with the first one. Here we go. Regarding the M100, can a 3.55 headset be used on the device?
Oh, let's see. I can't remember if it's 2.5 or 3.5. It looks like the M10 and M10R is 2.5, and I believe it's the same thing with the M18. I believe that's the 2.5 millimeter. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I've got the next question here ready to go. Regarding the M500 SMB wireless solution, will these devices only work for the M500 models, or can it work with older models as well?
So yes, the M500 is basically its own ecosystem, and the same thing with the M100. So the M100 only works with the 10, the 10R, and the 18. The M500 works with the M55, the M58. And then the M900 works with its own set. What I will say about the M500 though is it is our go forward solution. So for the most part, any new deck devices that we do come out with, and we will be coming out with them, they will be attaching to the M500.
Excellent, thank you very much. I know you guys talked about the warranties. Can you touch base on that? Give another overview on that if you don't mind?
Sure, I can touch on that, Ian. And then you can, anything I miss, you can follow up.
Yeah.
I was trying to divert all the questions to you, but I'll join in here. So the warranty is unique in a couple ways. One is just the time. It's 3-year replacement warranty. What we would do is have you contact our support team, and then they would do some basic troubleshooting, isolate what the issue is. If it's determined that it needs to be replaced, we actually issue a new replacement. So there's no refurbished, there's no repair. It would be a replacement where we would just simply replace the defective unit itself. So there's some big pluses there. The other nice thing is, again, with all of the advantages we have and the quality of our products, it's not too much of an issue. So, but should you have an issue, we will replace it with a new unit.
Thank you very much, you guys. Next question. For the M55, is the battery replaceable on this device?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Thank you. Easy enough on that one. Next question. For the M500, will you have a base station for that? Let's see. Will you have a base station for that? And something about a wireless feature in the near future.
So the M500 Pro is the actual base station for it, and that's where right now it does require a wired Ethernet connection. There is a USB port that we have on the actual base station, and it is something that is in the roadmap to get either a Wi-Fi connectivity for it. So if there isn't Ethernet available, you can possibly run it off Wi-Fi, or we might have another solution to help bridge the gap if there's not an actual Ethernet drop. But I'm not quite ready to talk about all those yet. But that is the one base station for it, is the M500, and that is the multi-cell one where you can add multiple of those base stations sort of to increase capacity and range.
Thank you very much. Next question here for you regarding the M55 6-line handset. Will you be able to edit the hold music, background, etc.?
So hold music, that's going to actually come directly from the PBX. So the M500, of course, is not the PBX. It's basically still just handling regular SIP trunks. So if you do have music on hold, that would actually be routed from the SIP service itself. And I believe the other question was custom backgrounds for the M58 and M55. It's a future plan, but it is not currently available.
Understood. Thank you so much. Next question here. Do all headsets work with the D717 or specific model?
So we have the 717 does support both RJ9 and USB headsets. While we haven't tested every USB headset on the market, what I can say is I've personally tested quite a few Jabra, Sennheiser, Plantronics, or Poly. All the ones that I've tested do work, but we just can't necessarily guarantee and say that it's going to be completely universal. We do have a chart on service.snom.com, which will show you the headsets that we specifically have tested. Yeah, that's probably the best resource to go to.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. Next question here. Regarding the D735, what is the motion sensor for?
So the 735, because it is a smaller display, we know that we want to basically bridge the gap between being able to see the actual labels of the PFK buttons and then not being able to see them. So the motion sensor is basically the trigger to change the labeling on the display itself. So by default, we have what's considered a short label. So you do get quite a bit of information. I think you get about maybe 8 characters or so. And then if you set it, you can basically set it to where the motion is triggering the long label. So as your hand moves towards the phone, the labels will actually take up the whole screen and you'll be able to see a much larger view. But you can also change that. So maybe the default is you have no labels, and then moving your hand towards it will bring the labels to the short version, or you can have them reach the long version. But that's what the motion sensor is for, is to trigger the labels themselves and what view you're looking at.
Thank you very much. I know you guys talked about how to reach Snom and to get information. Can you touch base again? Do we go to your website for technical support, customer service support, and all of that? Can you touch on that a little bit more for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So the live support phone number is the second one you see, the 399-227-6160. That is the phone number you would call to get technical support. So if you're at a site or you're just doing some testing on a phone in your office there, and you want to play with the phone, the Snom phone itself, they would be able to answer questions. Again, if there's troubleshooting needs to be done, that's the team that's going to not only be able to support you, but process any warranty exchanges that need to be done. The email address is supportusa@snom.com. That's the same team there that would support that information as well. I realize I don't have my contact info on here, but I can definitely pass that on to you as well, Julie, and we can post that as well. But VTech owns Snom, so our email is first initial last name, so mine's kkather@vtechphones.com, and then I can provide my phone number there as well. But either way, and then again, they can reach out to Julie, and she can reach out to me, and I can contact you as well. So there's plenty of ways. And then the other part is there's a lot of information on the Service Hub, which is service.snom.com. And you can find information there about, about SRAPs, about the headsets and everything like that Ian mentioned. But our website that carries the products is just snomamericas.com. That's what has all of our current products on there. So hopefully that answers the question.
Excellent. It certainly does. And that's where we like to know where all the resources are and all the information. And of course, if anyone asks or needs your contact information and they reach out to me, I can of course provide that. So let's see here. Corey and Ian, thank you so very much for answering all of those questions for us today. Excuse me. And also thank you to everyone for attending today's webinar. And if anyone has any further questions, please feel free to reach out to your sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown today, please visit us at www.microcom.us. And please remember, this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so you can view it again. Corey, Ian, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing all this valuable information with us today. We greatly appreciate it. Everybody, thank you for joining. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye now.